Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I hope you guys had a great Father's Day weekend. I'm recording this on Father's Day, so even though you guys have been getting some great videos, I haven't worked in a couple of days. So there's bound to be some really cool stuff on Reverb and eBay. So let's see what we've missed. First thing catching my attention comes right here. Commemorative. 2010 rare Plum Les Paul burst color. I don't think I've ever heard of this before. It just looks like a regular burst color to me, except for it does have a pretty nice top. So now I'm curious, is this actually a Gibson run or is it like a dealer exclusive run? Because that matters a lot. It depends how cool that dealer run was and how well known it is. Like things like the Black Widow Les Paul, that's really cool. But okay, this photo tells me everything I need. I've definitely seen this before. This is the COA booklet. It came with a separate Gibson headstock veneer signed by Les Paul himself. There was a run of BFGs that did something similar, but this was cool like case candy. Okay, yeah, I totally remember this now. Can I just say, what a terrible name for a guitar. Les Paul Commemorative? Like if you go to Google and type that in, you're gonna get all types. Now so far in my opinion, it just seems like a regular reissue, so maybe not that cool, because generally his signature on any other guitar, it doesn't really matter because he signed so many things. However, having as part of official case candy does make that one a little bit more cool. But in this case, it is $10,000. Next up, a Les Paul Voodoo. I haven't documented one of these older ones yet because I've been waiting for one like in the right condition with the right wood grain. This is close, but not quite. I mean, it's got some good wood grain, but not exactly what I'm looking for. Like, these don't exactly line up. That's a three-piece body on this one. But the original Voodoos have your weird voodoo skull guy right there. It's a take it or leave it type of spec, and they're all the whole black and red. Ooh, okay, I like the back on that one. That's pretty nice. And so far, the condition doesn't seem to be too bad. You can definitely tell there's been some rubbing right here, but this is a thin satin finish, so any like light nicks or dings, it's gonna be apparent very quickly. So this one, I mean, it's not in that bad of shape for being nearly 20 years old at this point. Ah, darn it. There's always gotta be something wrong. Yeah, that's a big deal breaker for me personally. Cool modification, I like that. The red around the truss rod cover. And yes, indeed, we do have the original case. I think calling that excellent is a little bit of a push with the headstock. We've got Smartwood Banara. I always call this one Smartwood Banana because, you know, the fancy wood here looks like a banana. But if you don't know about the Smartwood series, you can check out this video. I named it one of the top 5 most influential Henry Juskowitz era guitars. And that's because it really was. They used so many different styles of woods for the top. If I remember correctly, there were 5 of them. But Banara is one of those ones that you just remember. These are nice guitars, but I think the price that they command on the used value, as far as like a player rather than a collector, it kind of exceeds what they're worth in my opinion. Like these are great, solid like $700 to maybe $1,100 examples because they're basically the then Les Paul special. They've got the thinner body Les Paul, they've got the comfort carve back here, they've got the cool exotic woods. Now occasionally you'll find one with like crazy figuring that happens to look very nice, and then those things can fetch like 15 to 18. But like an average player's great example, I wouldn't suggest paying too much for these. But this one appears to be pretty clean. So, all things considered, if it's truly mint, not too bad. It's just the shipping cost that scares me. The wood grain's kind of boring on this one, but I kind of want a complete set of all the Smartwood series guitars, so maybe I'll have to consider that. Now, this is looking like a deal. 59 Custom Shop Standard. I hate how Reverb does this now. They automatically group things within the years, so when people make their listings themselves, like here, I'll show you. So Les Paul reissue 1959, and they'll do this. So naturally somebody will select this if that's what they're selling, and then that's automatically in the title, so nobody ever updates it. There's a big difference in value between 2006 and 2012. Reverb does their best to group like terms things together. Like in this example, a prehistoric from 86 to 89, they'll be about the same. However, the 86 and early 87 will be slightly more valuable because you can find the Tim Shaw PAFs in there yet, versus the later prehistorics that had the Bill Lawrence HBL/R series. And if you're curious why this is the date ranges, it's because of the whole hide glue starting in the custom shop. This one's in California, $4,500, $200 shipping, so really $47. You know, for an R9, this is a pretty spankin' deal in my opinion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits right here. The 9 tells us it's a 1959 reissue. This tells us the year of production. So I do believe that is a 2012. Now you gotta remember, every 10 years, Gibson reuses their serial numbers. And if you wonder why some of them have the 9, then the space, and then the 4, that all comes down to the production number. So this right here tells us it's the 1071st 59 reissue made that particular year. Now had this been the 998th particular one made that year, this one would still have the spacer right here, the 2 would be right there, and then 998 or whatever I was saying. Now for me personally, I hate it when they do that because it messes with everything. So I prefer earlier year production ones for that reason. But yeah, go ahead and jump on that. That's a good deal for an R9. It looks like somebody's selling one of those embossed covers. $250 just for one cover? You'd be surprised what people pay for these things. I don't know if they're putting them on other guitars or if they're trying to restore original examples that should have had it. But like a complete set of these, like pickups and everything, generally will sell between like $700 to $1,000 lately. So just the covers, you can normally get a couple hundred. So if you think that's crazy, that's really not that far off. Whoa, something going on here. All right, so first off, this is against Reverb's rules. Right here, you should not have these being the leading photos. Like if you want to throw them in at the end, that's okay. But the reason why Reverb does not allow this is so scammers can't just, take Sweetwater's photos and put them on there. They have to be original. Now, thankfully, the seller does have original photos right here, so everything's fine and dandy for the most part on here. But a Murphy Lab for only $47? That's the cheapest I've ever seen. Okay, it's a 58 reissue, no wonder. That's not too bad to get into one of those. But wow, check out this Marauder. So check out this video if you need to learn what a Marauder is. Brand new, it looked like this. Yeah, that's a new old stock Marauder I had at one point in time. Beautiful guitar. Probably should have kept that one around now that I've got that whole museum idea kicking around, but that was like crazy to believe that they started life as that thin satin finish, and then over the years people played them up so much that they became gloss. Now here's one that got played crazily. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a Marauder this played. Wow, that has its own vibes going on. So let's make quick work of this. Somebody has replaced our pickguard. Seems to be a okay job, but instead of our Telecaster style pickups, we've got 3 humbuckers in here. Looks like some sort of a Seymour Duncan. That just looks like a cheapy pickup. That's what I normally see things like the B in a circle for, so maybe that's not anything too special. But the DiMarzio and Seymour Duncan are actually pretty nice pickups right there. But wow, you could just see the guy's arm just wore through the finish right there, all dinged up. This was a workhorse. I would call this a stage 4 one. It looks like our truss rod's still in good shape. Interestingly enough, they put a stinger on it. I wonder if there's been a headstock repair, but the whole finish on the neck has been worn. You got all the wear back here. This is a beautiful Marauder. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they just did it for cosmetics or they were trying to hide some of these old tuners, but I don't see any of the usual brakes, cracks, or repairs. That must have been like his own personal number or something. Like maybe his birthday, 7/14/1985. Now normally, a Marauder in that kind of condition for $1,250 I would laugh at, but just maybe somebody might like that. Oh nice, is that what I've been looking for? Studio Gem, Amethyst, is it purple? Yes it is. Now is it the condition I'm looking for? Needs cleaned, we've got the finish checking, that is pretty common on these, but I'd rather not have it on my personal example. Oh wow, custom shop case, eh? So Studio Gem series is an early 90s studio, but it came stock with P90 pickups and gold hardware. They have, I think it's 5 different colors if I'm remembering correctly. It's not the best condition, but it's pretty good. I'm almost willing to let the cracking right here, and I believe they've replaced the knobs, go. But wow, everybody's charging so much for shipping nowadays. Like, it's about $85 to ship something. Sometimes it can get up to $150 if you have to insure it for $5,000, but okay. All right, I'm gonna make an offer on it, guys. Wish me luck, we'll see how it goes. What's that rhythm man got going on? He's got a very distinctive photo style, so I've learned it here. So 2001 custom shop Korina Les Paul. I think I remember when he first listed this thing. I had never heard of this run before, but yeah, apparently it's a thing. They did Korina and very, very, very dark finish on it. It's like, what's the point of doing Korina if you're not gonna be able to see it, right? But it is what it is. That is definitely a beat up one, originated from Japan. We got one of the Tak Matsumoto double cuts. Tak Matsumoto guitars. I mean, obviously they're geared towards his Japanese followers. I've been having a hard time selling my standard, even though that's a beautiful guitar. I mean, those things sell for a premium, but you have to be by your target audience, right? So I don't know if I'll review too many of these other ones because sometimes it's hard to find the end user for them. But I don't think I'd be particularly interested in reviewing this model. It's just a double cut custom. But if you're curious what caused this, sometimes people's sweat can do that, but more often than not, it is either the case leaching in because there's a little bit of wear right here in the clear coat and that allows that to happen, or more commonly it's a stand. But generally, if that happens, you'll see it on both sides. So there must have been some sort of a chemical reaction on that one. I've been seeing a lot of the Holy V and Explorers showing up, as well as these reverse flying Vs. So the reverse flying V is kind of cool because it started as the Guitar of the Week thing, and then they later continued it on in 3 other different colors. That's when you get the ebony fretboard, I believe. This thing is definitely in need of a re-review, so I'm kind of looking for one at the right price point. Then as far as the Holy V and Explorer, I have an old video on the Explorer. It's not the worst video I've ever done, but I would definitely like to revamp that review with a Holy V eventually, but I'm not paying these prices. I mean, these are just faded Series Vs and Explorers that have holes cut in them. They're kind of cool from a collector perspective, though. That's not too bad of a deal on a Bullseye. These Bullseye guitars, they shot up to like 10 grand, but now they've started to come back down a little bit. Well, before I get back to my family today, let's check out eBay. I like to see what's recently ending to see what headache I can get myself into. Here's one of the L6-S guitars. That's definitely heavily worn. Wow, I'm surprised it's been bid up to that. Just as a heads up, if you're ever bidding on one of these, you're generally bidding against the Gibson Dependable guy because he just buys these things and parts them out. Because there's always somebody looking for this chicken head knob that'll pay good money for it. The knobs have been replaced on this one, so that's no good. This is the set neck version, so not the Midnight Special, so we can't part it out all the way. Looks like we still have the original tuners. However, those are not the original pickups, so I don't think Dependable would buy that one. Here we got a 63 Firebird III. Wow, that's actually in pretty clean shape. The problem with this one is this guy's expecting somebody to get in a bidding war over it, and this is something you just kind of list at a price to find a buyer. Because what's wrong with this one? Looks like replace tuners at some point in time, and just some light wear and tear for one of these. Okay, the neck is a little bit extra worn in my opinion, and a replaced nut. So it's not quite perfect collector's condition, but he's got this reserve because I remember seeing this one before. So he's paying money every time to put this auction up, and then the reserve doesn't get met. So he's just losing money doing that. That's just a losing game on something like this. eBay's not the best place to sell that unless you're doing a fixed price. But here's an interesting one you guys might want to watch. The Alex Lifeson ES Les Paul. I remember when these came out, somebody had sold a guitar to me at a good price because they didn't want to miss out on one of these. And so because of that, I've never forgotten these. I'm not the biggest fan of ES Les Pauls. I definitely prefer the Florentines from the 90s. They look the same, but they're nowhere near the same. But the Signature, I would like to review and document it one day because it's pretty fascinating. So we'll have to see how much that one sells for. That doesn't seem to be that far off, but if you want it now, you had to pay $25,000. And I think that's going to end it out for tonight's episode. So Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode and you had a great Father's Day weekend, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.